So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
Oh, thank you. Yes, Father's hammer.
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers!
Yes.
No, it's wrong!
I knew that without having to go through the text more than once.
The murder weapon
A lot
wasn't
of
a
the text
Justice
pointed
Hammer at
to
all.
it, but no. It can't be.
It was something
The hammer was.
completely different.
Dangaropa. Oh, come on!
But
I misspelled
seriously?
it. My one.
A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The
My
killer
one
could
letter,
have
no
easily
less.
used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris, but for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean.
Huh?
And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones,
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, there's two ends. My god.
and even some flat mallet-like ones.
It's Dangaropa. That's Dangaropa.
I think
But I
whoever
call it
made the
Dangaropa
Justice
because
Hammer
it goes easier off the tongue.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
Whoever did that was the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him. Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
Why would someone work with someone else? Make your argument. Okay. Okay, it can't be the
Based
same
on the
thing.
rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible
Okay, it can't be
that
the
two
same
people
thing.
work together on
The
this.
same bullet twice.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Does it actually? But yes, of course it matters.
Based on the rules that have been laid out, even if more than one, only the one who actually carried out the act can assuming the rule holds true. It is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really
Wait, hold on,
applies
hold on.
if
Let me
there's
get rid
one
of
murder,
this.
right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
No!
Based on the rules
That's true, I
that
would've
even if
messed
more
up
than one, only the
the
one
other
who
way
actually, assuming the rule holds true. It is
That is.
But that only really in this case, however, there were two
I don't like how
murders.
you have to be so specific with. No! Okay.
based on the rules, even if more
I
than
don't like
one,
how you have
only
to
the
be
one who
so
actually,
specific on what you
assuming the
can
rule
absorb
holds
and what
true.
you can shoot.
That is.
But that only really applies if there. In this case, however, there were two murders.
Okay, good.
Based on the rules that have even if more than one, only the one who actually carried out the
I'm so
act,
glad I found out
assuming
this
the rule
backboard
holds
technique thing.
true. It is
So take that.
No, that's wrong.
No, that's incorrect.
Since there were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally,
If only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
No, that's wrong.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes
Unless
possible.
you were like really good friends with someone. That's like the only other reason I can think of.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime, and based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look...
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
Oh yeah, it's awful when you tell me that you're gonna get an SSR on Dokkan. If you want to play like that.
That's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems...
Cut, man. You had it coming. Also, but I got him.
I understand how an
honestly, that makes
accomplice
sense,
could be
but...
involved. But then, who was the one pulling it from...
That's problem numero uno right now.
One person, I have to choose? Okay, hold on, let me look at the transcript. Can I? Not her, obviously. It can't be... No! It can't be her or her because she was with everyone. Get Dari. And he doesn't really seem like he'd do it anyway. And he was with, her. So... What does that mean? What does that mean?
Here's my answer. It was Celeste.
No, don't say it.
Ah, so I'm the suspicious individual now, am I? I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder...
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit from brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
There is.
Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
I got it! The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious
Also,
individual
I
in
wouldn't
the
really
suit.
be
Doesn't
surprised if they were an accomplice.
The only ones who
Because
ever actually
she
saw
was more
Robo
controlling
Justice
of him.
firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush. The adults are talking now.
sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual.
What do you mean the adults are talking?
If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits,
I
we
really
can't
don't
help
see
but
you
suspect
doing
what
anything in this
Celeste
case.
has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual,
what does that
correct?
mean? No, he's gonna try to make you say it.
And
Don't.
not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said? We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
No!
Once
Don't
she'd
let
done
them
her
tempt you.
job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
It was to get us to divide into two groups. So that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
That's true.
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it?
Ugh.
It was your way of telling him, we're on the third floor. Everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead. Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
After this case, can you play this? No, I have to finish the whole game, man.
I don't believe it! Everything! The whole thing
I
was
don't like
one
to skip
big
over
act!
stuff anyway.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah,
And plus,
I was feeling kind of
I'm
sick,
really,
so
I'm, more
Celeste took
I'm
me to the
interested in this
bathroom.
game right now, but I'm sure the second game is going to be even better.
Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it,
They're
but
two different games.
looking back, I can
Really?
say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
Alright.
All I said was,
I
they
mean,
must really be enjoying
but there's
this.
different character story and shit.
Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated.
I see.
We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Oh! Okay, so she should have only learned about... Okay,
They must
I
really
got it.
enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all.
And that's all it takes to finish. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
No! Do I have to be specific again? Come on, I'm sorry.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes.
What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Other way around, I think. Unless I just got it wrong.
They must really be enjoying the sight of us standing around. They must be positive. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like...
No, that's wrong.
We are all going to die. No, that's wrong.
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations?
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So let's put the suit on. And then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
Where's your proof? Yeah, dancing.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility.
Drinking.
The one being dragged off in that picture isn't
man.
Hifumi,
Don't you
but
know
the person
robots
in the
can drink?
robot. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation,
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
Dangaropa. Sounds better than what the other thing is, so...
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out. Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight. You tried to make me look like the bad guy.
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Nope.
No, that's wrong.
That was an easy thing to correct.
No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that, because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
That we have already gone over.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate.
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate?
Celeste?
Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem.
Have you already forgotten
I
what
probably can't.
Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
You're banned. That no.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro.
In other words, Yasuhiro Hakakure!
Right, but my name isn't really Yasuhiro. It's actually Taro.
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Well, her accent's gone, so...
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk
Okay.
to us. How did he refer to each of us?
For serious.
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name. Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation?
Stop talking.
No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal, but he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one
So that's
person it
Yasuhiro?
could apply
Well,
to,
that'll get him.
and that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
What did you just say? To think you take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit!
Okay. That was good.
Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you?
Well, right now...
Do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
Well, that's the first time you said it. To be fair, that is the only time you said the actual. Ah!
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
how many times do I have to tell you? My name is... Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
Okay, you put that upside
How
down.
long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me, that's the only truth there is!
Oh, okay, no, I get it. The E-hand, yeah, she did say something about the E-handbook. Yeah,
He wanted us to
all
know
we would
the
have to
story
do
before
is check her
It would have to be you,
and
Celeste.
then she's done.
Celestia Ludenberg!
How long do you
That
plan?
makes
I'm not
sense.
pretending.
Okay,
And since you have no way to contradict me,
okay, I didn't miss.
No,
Okay, good.
it's wrong. That's it. The handbook.
what?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before. So all we have to do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened? Please, just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then.
Does
Let
this mean
me
you're playing
settle.
Dangaropa 2 tomorrow? Well,
Let me go over the
hopefully,
case again. From the
if I get
beginning.
into the last case,
shed light on
or the
all
second
your
to last
crimes.
case tomorrow, sure.
And that'll bring everything to an end.
Here we go. So where were they talking? Oh shoot. It's like, is this an old thing? Why is that here? Well, that should go there, obviously. This game has like 6 charges. Really? 6? Oh man, he was still transformed and everything and he went down that easy. That's upsetting. Oh, it's me!